Hi guys, so this video today is going to be about 15 minutes long. We're going to go over your final results packet from the end of the Kickstart. So you'll have a couple different sheets stapled together. First we have our congratulatory sheet. I just want to let you guys know how proud I am of you for working so hard in these 28 days. I know it's a lot to try and turn around your nutrition in just 4 short weeks, so I want you to continue on doing this, and I'm happy on the steps that you've made so far. I want you to go ahead and turn to your final results sheet. It should look something like this up on your screen. I actually used a copy from one of our past Kickstarters, so it's a little more realistic. At the top you should have your name and age and all your information. Moving down on our measurement data, we have all of your measurements from before at the beginning of your Kickstart and the after. Alright, so that bottom line of the change is the difference. Alright, so we have your weight and then your measurements of your abdomen, hips, arms, legs, and calf. Alright, the next row underneath that we have our body composition. So you should have your before and after of your body fat percentage, your body fat total, that's going to be the pounds of body fat that you lost. Body fat and calories, and then some of you will have a fourth column of lean body mass. If you don't have a lean body mass column, that's okay. We just put it on there if you gained lean body mass. Next down, you should have a before and after picture of your Kickstart. Underneath that, you'll have nutritional guidance, and then you have notes from me at the bottom. So starting back up at the top on our measurement data, I want to point out something on your weight. So a lot of people look at the scale right when they weigh out. Some people are disappointed that they might have only lost maybe 3 pounds like this example. But I want to point out down here on body composition data, your body fat total. Alright, so this column right here about body fat total is how many pounds of body fat you actually lost during the Kickstart. So in this sample, it says that this person lost 9.4 pounds of body fat, but under the weight, they only lost 3. So how can that happen? If we go over to the right, on lean body mass, it says that she gained 6.4 pounds of lean body mass. That's totally normal. That's actually a good thing. Most of you are going to gain anywhere from 3 to 9, 10, 11 pounds of lean body mass. So lean body mass is your muscles, your bones, your tissues, your fluids, things like that. For the most part, when you start the Kickstart, your lean body mass is already at a deficit. That's from not properly fueling yourself or hydrating yourself, so you're already starting at a deficit here. It takes your body about 4 weeks to get that lean body mass back to where it should be. So when you interpret your results, I don't want you to take this weight into account too much. I want you to look at body fat. So this person truly actually did lose 9.5 pounds of body fat, but they also gained 6.4 pounds of lean body mass. All right, so overall it's only reflected as 3 pounds, but these are both positive things. After the 4 weeks of following the Kickstart, your lean body mass is not going to continue to go up unless you're really working on gaining strength and muscle. For the most part, you guys aren't going to hulk out and gain a bunch of pounds on your lean body mass. Okay, you're kind of going to even out. Your body's back to where it should be, and then the body fat pounds are going to start dropping. You're going to see a more changes on the scale. So if we go up here to your inches, this is where all of the differences, the change of how many inches you lost in your abdomen, hips, arms, leg, and calf. This is how we determine how many body fat pounds you lost in your lean body mass that you gained. Alright, so we take all of this into account to figure out these numbers. And then on the left down here we have your body fat percentage. Again, that will continue to go down after the Kickstart if you continue to follow it as your lean body mass is leveled out. Down here we should have your before and after picture. I try to choose one that shows the biggest difference. So some of you might have a profile picture and some of you might have a anatomical picture. Either one is fine. Down here in your nutrition guidance, there are a couple different options. There are 3 options for people when they start the Kickstart. Okay, one person can have 4 meals a day, 4 hours apart. One person can have 5 meals a day. Those are 4 hours apart, and then their last meal is 2 hours after. Or they can have 5 meals a day, 3 hours apart. So those are our 3 starting meal plans. Depending on what your nutrition guidance says under here, some of you might have a sentence like this, where it says for the next 2 weeks, continue on your current 4 meals a day, or wherever you're at, for a total of 11 units. And then starting on week 3, move to 5 meals a day per 12 units. All right, so I want to explain some things on this. If you are one of those that has both of these bullet points where you're following something for another 2 weeks, that's totally fine. We just want to give your body an extra 2 weeks to get used to this eating habit and this schedule before we move on. If you are starting immediately to 5 meals a day, then that's perfect. You're just ahead of the game. That's all it means. However, if you are one of those people that was at 4 meals a day for 4 hours apart with an additional 2-unit meal 2 hours later, and you're moving to 5 meals a day, I want you to move those 5 meals a day for every 3 hours throughout the day. All right, so total you should only be eating about 12 hours. All right, that's your time span for eating throughout the day. I do want to talk about having the 5 meals. That is going to be our end goal. You will burn the most fat eating 5 meals a day now that we've trained your body to digest your food in about 2 hours and then burn your fat after. So once your body's down for that, then it's going to be a lot more efficient in burning fat with 5 meals a day. So instead of having 4 times during the day to burn fat, we will now have 5. However, I do know for some of you, depending on your job or your kids or your work schedule or whatever, 5 meals a day just doesn't work for you in every 3 hours. If you want to stick to 4 hours between meals 4 times a day for the rest of your life, that's totally fine. That's going to be okay. You're not going to gain weight. You're not going to lose progression. It's just 5 meals a day is going to be the best option. You do not have to go for that if it doesn't work for your lifestyle. If you have any questions on that, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help you. Just pay attention to how many units you are going to be moved to for the next day. And I am going to be touching back on this nutrition guidance in a second. So this last one I want to point out is just a little note from me. It's mostly going to be how proud I am of you and how well you've done in these first 4 weeks and to keep it up. Most people, after their lean body mass has leveled out, in 4 weeks are going to see their biggest pounds dropped in week 5 and 6. So really stick with it. I know you've probably had a cheat meal already, especially if you missed the seminar on Saturday, but try to really hop back on the schedule. All right, so if we go back up to our nutrition guidance, so per this example, we started with 4 meals a day at 11 units. Okay, so if you want to scroll or if you want to flip to the next sheet in your packet, it should look something like this. Okay, this is broken down into our left column, which is 4 meals a day, 4 hours apart, and our right column, which is 5 meals a day, 3 hours apart. So if we remember on the sample page before, she had 11 units, 4 meals a day. All right, so down here, she was either eating at 3-3-2-3 for her units or 2-3-3-3. Okay? If we remember, it was moved to 5 meals a day for 12 units. So what we're going to do is hop on over from this 4 meals a day to 5 meals a day on the right side. We're going to find 12 units. And these are going to be your 2 options at 3-1-3-2-3 or 2-2-3-2-3. Right? Remember, these are going to be 3 hours apart. If you stick with your 4 meals a day, you're going to continue to do your 4 hours apart. All right? These are split up into male and female. Sometimes they do cross over. Some females have more than 14 units. Some males have less. This is just for the average between the two. So this is a really good reference sheet. I'd like you to keep this, stick it on your fridge or something so you know exactly the units that you can have. All right. So the last sheet I want to scroll down to, or have you flip to, looks something like this. So it's a macronutrient and unit conversion sheet. All right, so this is our secret sauce or whatever you would say about how they make up the units, okay? So if you picture your pack and go in your head when we have 1 unit of, or 1 column of proteins, 1 column of carbs, and 1 column of fat, if we had 1 unit meal, so if we picked 1 option from each of those, that 1 unit meal would be approximately 114 calories. Okay, just give or take. Now remember, we don't count calories here, we're counting your macros, but just for a little reference, it's going to be about 114 calories. Okay, per macronutrient, for 1 unit of protein is going to be 7 grams, 1 unit of carbohydrates is going to be 9 grams, and 1 unit of fat is going to be 3 grams. So just to make sense of this, if you're picturing your pack and go sheet, and we're just going across the top line, all right, 1 whole egg is going to be about 7 grams of protein, okay? half an apple is going to be about 9 grams of fat, and half a teaspoon of butter is going to be about 3 grams of fat. Okay? So that's how they make this up. The reason why we give this to you now is so now that you kind of understand how you put the pack and go together, you can go ahead and read labels and things like that to understand, if you have a box of quinoa at your house, or if you have a box of pre-made food and you want to eat it with your family, you can understand how much of it you can have. So if we want to double this, so most people don't have a 1-unit meal unless they have a snack for their 5 meals a day. All right. We can go down if we have a 2-unit meal. All right. All that means is we are just doubling these. So it's going to be 14 grams of protein, 18 grams of carbohydrates, and 16 grams of fat. A 3-unit meal is going to be about 21 grams of protein, 27 grams of carbs, and 9 grams of fat. A 4-unit meal is 28, 36, 12, and so on and so forth. All right, so we can easily do the math to figure out how many grams of each macronutrient you can have per your unit meal. I know now that we finished the Kickstart, we talked a lot about meal replacement bars. That's going to be my example. So if we talk about the Quest bars, if you look at the nutrition label on a Quest bar, it's about, I think it's about 20 grams of protein, about 17 grams of carbs, and about 7 grams of fat. That's pretty close to a 2 or 3 unit meal. All right, so you're not always going to be right on. For example, if you pick up a meal replacement bar and you're trying to get a 3-unit meal and you're at 18 grams of protein, 23 grams of carbs, and 7 grams of fat, it's not going to be perfect and right on, but it's going to be okay. The foods that you choose, especially if they're natural, like fruits and vegetables, things like that, they are always going to have extra macronutrients added in. For example, if you have a jar of peanut butter, as we know, looking on a pack and go, half a tablespoon of peanut butter is going to be 1 unit of fat. All right, so we're just counting that as fat. If you look at the back of, say, your Smucker's jar, and it says 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is going to be, let's say, about 12 grams of fat, okay? Maybe 9 to 12 grams of fat, but it also has 6 grams of protein. We're not going to count that protein. We're just going to count the highest macronutrient. All right, it's going to be really hard to continue this plan if you're trying to add up each macronutrient every time. We're just going to take the highest ones. Unless you have something that is completely right on, like if you have 8 ounces of milk, like on your pack and go, it should be at just around 7 grams of protein and 9 grams of carbohydrates. Then you will count it as both a protein and a carbohydrate unit together. All right. Other than that, I just want you to take the highest macronutrient and use that as you make your meals together. So this will be the last page of your final results packet. If you have any questions, please let me know. You're welcome to email me or post on Facebook. And again, so proud of you guys. You did so well. Keep it on. Keep continuing in this. All right. Have a good day. Bye.